Hello, class, and welcome. This is week number 5 of our course, and just a few things that I want to get into this week. Okay, this is a very important week within our class. Some things that I need to cover. First of all, in terms of assignments and what is going to be due for submission next Saturday. Now, the first thing that I definitely want to touch bases on is Section 1 of the signature assignment. That is going to be your main assignment that's due. Now, as I had mentioned over the last few weeks, I was bringing this up. And what I want to do is I want to open this up again and break it down in detail for the class. This is the main assignment or assessment for the course. And what you're going to do is Section 1, and this is my third week actually in discussing this and bringing this forth in the video with the class. I expect for Section 1 to be submitted. You're going to write Section 1 of your final paper, and that's going to be due next Saturday at 11:59 p.m. You're doing your introduction on Quest Cuisine. This is a scenario that I created for you guys. All right, and the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to talk about what specialty, what cuisine. Are you going to specialize in Italian or Mexican or Chinese or American or Japanese? That decision is left up to you in terms of what type of cuisine you're going to offer. However, I want to let you all know that the name of the restaurant must be called Quest Cuisine. So I expect the introduction, along with the other part of Section 1, give me various recipes and unit conversions, along with yields and cost. Talk about some of the main courses in your menu. So kind of bring up your yielding. For example, edible portions compared to as purchased portions. And also some unit conversion examples. And you'll find that in your text readings in chapters 3, 4, and 5 when it comes to your unit conversions. Remember as well, too, in the lectures here that I provided examples, and some of your discussion questions over the last few weeks have been centered around yielding. When you look at the as purchase compared to the edible, and also unit conversions when you're dealing with pounds and ounces. And this week, what we're going to talk about regarding recipe cost, and I'm going to get into that content in a few minutes after discussing this. That's going to be Section 1 of your paper. So, your objective this week, and I'm really hoping that everybody started writing on it a few weeks ago, and not wait till the last few days, because you're going to do your research in terms of putting the components of this paper together. By all means, I'm looking for some of the chapter text or some of the information within the textbook, but then also I want you to be independent within your research as well, and make sure that you cite your references. So I wanted to kind of touch bases on that in terms of what's due to signature assignment. That's very important. Now, another thing that I want to bring up, and this is my second week discussing this, is the midterm project. This is another major project that's going to be due. And this project happens to be centered around controlling cost and operating a bar. I presented this to the class last week. That was my first time presenting this project. So the scenario, read the scenario in detail. Okay, I'm giving you a $500,000 budget. That is your initial investment to start up the bar. Now, what I've done as well is I have found a website, okay, which gives a detailed breakdown and cost in terms of running a bar when it comes to determining your profit and your loss. So what I'm looking for is an 8 to 10 slide PowerPoint presentation. And these are the key points that you're going to have in that PowerPoint. You're going to talk about your startup cost. You're going to talk about your licenses and permits that are needed within the state that you're in, preferably Pennsylvania. I recommend everybody looking up bar cost in terms of licenses, not the cost, but the licenses and permits in running a bar establishment. What do you have to do in so many words to acquire your alcohol license to operate an establishment within the state of Pennsylvania, or it could be New York, or it could be Michigan or New York, wherever you're located at. Because I do understand that not all of my students are located in Pennsylvania. I have some that are in New York and some that happen to be in Michigan, and you may be elsewhere throughout the country. I want you to talk about your operating cost, and I want you to talk about your profit and loss. Okay? And also some final words. And then also create an Excel spreadsheet and embed that into the PowerPoint slides, which kind of breaks down the differentials between your cost when it comes to profit and loss within the bar establishment. Keep in mind now, this is not due until next month. This is due on October the 15th. But I want to present this midterm project ahead of time so that you can start ahead of time when it comes to doing the research and putting together your content. All right, so that you submit a very detailed, very formatted, and very well professional PowerPoint presentation. Again, midterm project will be due on October the 15th. That will be 11:59. That is on a Saturday. All of your assignments, of course, are due every Saturday. Now, if you have any questions, feel free, class, to reach out to me, okay, by email, or if you want to go further, we can do a Zoom call, or we can actually discuss the matter of these assignments in terms of any assistance that you would need or any help over the phone. Feel free to reach out to me. This week, what we're going to do is we're going to cover Chapter 5. Chapter 5 covers recipe costing. And so, one of the things that you want to do is put yourself in the position of a chef. Everything starts with the ingredients when it comes to preparing a dish. Now, we always think about the actual menu itself when the customer is looking at the menu and they're looking at the cost of the dish itself. Like, for example, a lasagna plate may cost $15.99. A steak, a T-bone steak, may cost $25.99 or more. Just kind of giving some examples here. Pasta dish may cost $12.99. It depends on the quantity that's within the dish itself. Well, guess what? There happens to be ingredients that has to be purchased by the restaurant manager, and also the chef has to take into consideration in terms of measurements what exactly to use in terms of the portion amount or the quantity amount of ingredients in order to make the dish. So look over my lecture points regarding recipe cost. There are some factors that I actually do discuss, and I do give an example of determining cost per ounce. Like, for example, okay, if you buy a bulk or a crate of something, okay, the example here that I gave was the cost of burger patties, but it could be a case of meat, something pertaining to that matter. All right, and then what you have to do is you have to look at the total cost per case, and then what you need to do is divide that up by units, okay, maybe to determine what your cost of ounce would actually be based on what you have purchased within the case itself. So go over this information and content. And I also kind of discuss, like, for example, what is the spice factor and what happens to be the Q factor. Okay, so remember this, that when it comes to the spice factor, we are looking at an adjusted cost per person, whereas the Q factor determines the actual true cost per person. All right, so look over these points that I put again in the lecture. Not only that, but then also look at the PowerPoint presentation, which is pretty much a reflection. The PowerPoint slides here are also lecture notes that kind of reflect on the actual lecture that I've provided as you look into this week's chapter content. As always, what you want to do is you want to look at the discussion posts. There are 2 discussion posts that you have to engage in, and we have this every week, class. Those are going to be due on Thursday night. So discussion 1 and 2. And we're kind of breaking away from just the basic math applications this week. This is kind of more reflective, okay, kind of more scenario based in terms of what I put together when it comes to the discussion post. These will be due Thursday night at 11:59 p.m. So that kind of breaks down what we are doing this week. Also, one thing that you may not see while looking at this video instruction as I'm making this available on Saturday is that we will have our first quiz. And our first quiz will cover chapters 1. As a matter of fact, what I'm going to do with the quiz, you all, I'm going to delay the quiz. The quiz will be next week. I think we have plenty of time to where I can kind of delay and push back your first quiz. The first quiz is going to cover the first 5 chapters in terms of content. And it's going to be pretty much basic true or false or multiple choice. I will let you all know once week 6 opens up and you will happen to see the quiz as it will be available. I know that at the beginning of the semester, I really did not discuss quizzes and when those will be due. But when it comes to quizzes that we will have throughout the course of the semester, Friday nights will be when the quiz is to be taken. So the quiz will be opened up, of course, at the beginning of the week, going into week 6, which is starting on Monday, but you will have until Friday to take the quiz. So disregard, no quiz will be given for week number 5. We will have our first quiz that will be going into week number 6. As always, everyone, here's my availability. If you want to reach out to me, if you need to reach out to me, my email, as well as my availability hours by phone, that will be 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., Monday through Saturday. If I do not answer, if you happen to call me by phone, please leave a message and also the nature of your call, and I will give you a call back. You can also text me between 3 p.m. and 9 p.m. That is Monday through Saturday. And yes, I do Zoom conference meetings as well, but that is upon the request of the student. Okay, everybody, that wraps up week 5, as week 5 is now made available to you on Saturday, September the 17th. This is Professor Javier Black officially signing off, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.